Welcome to MMA on the Rise, bringing you the best in mixed martial arts and combat sports. I'm your host, Tom Ziegler. Tonight we'll be featuring more fights from Fight Lab 23 at Coyote Joe's in Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll begin our show with two promising debut fighters, Amir Hosch and Daniel Acton. They did not disappoint. Then a violent contest. Aggressive fighters Acton Harris and Dylan the Future Calla. Check this out. This fight is brought to you by Any Lab Test Now. MMA fighter panel is only $89. Location nationwide. MMA on the Rise at Coyote Joe's in Charlotte, North Carolina for Fight Lab 23. We get our second bout of the evening. We've got Amir Hosch making his way to the cage, 28 years old, 5'9", making his amateur debut here at Fight Lab. I'm here with the Fight Tech, Paul Boo, and the Master of Cool, Kevin Ferrant, visiting me cage side for commentary.
How you doing tonight, Tom?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. Exciting venue, exciting bouts as usual. Looking forward to this matchup and see what these young amateurs bring to the cage.
Yeah, we got two debut fighters coming to the cage right now. Don't know too much history on either fighter. We got Amir Hosch, who fights out of Anderson, South Carolina.
Yeah, it's hard to get a lot of research on debut fighters. However, we're about to learn quite a bit about them as soon as they step into the cage here. There we are, we get a look at Amir Hosch. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I'm assuming you're not.
A lot of these guys, you just got to go by their team. When we don't know much on them, you got to just kind of know what their team typically produces.
I think this fight was initially supposed to be Daniel Acton.
Well, they just said Amir Hosch just now. Actually, before we had Daniel Acton come into the ring, now we have Amir Hosch. I think there was a mix-up in the fight card a little bit.
Could have been, could have been. All right, so Daniel Acton is already in the cage. Now we're getting a good look at Amir Hosch making his way to the cage.
Like I was saying, Amir Hosch, he's fighting out of Team Rock. He's affiliated to Team Rock, ROC. So, you know, even though these guys are debut, we can kind of get a general idea on Amir Hosch, what his game plan is going to be based on Team Rock. They tend to be more of a grappling school. They do have some striking, but they do tend to be good grapplers. Have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu base, part of the Hoist Gracie network. So, you know, I would assume the guy's got a decent ground game.
Yeah, he's over there with Jordan Rinaldi greasing him up. Typically, the Team Rock guys do come in with a good ground game, well-rounded game. He's a physically specimen of a kid, just looking at him.
Yeah, he's definitely the thicker of the two guys. Now it looks like possibly there might be a reach advantage though, going to Daniel Acton.
Yeah, Amir Hosch looks very combustive and eruptive.
He's combustive and eruptive, dare I say explosive.
Daniel Acton is 6 foot, where Amir Hosch at the same weight at 170 is only 5'9". So you got a 3-inch reach, 3-inch height difference going to Acton, but definitely probably the strength advantage is going to go to Amir Hosch.
Here we go with round one, Amir Hosch versus Daniel Acton.
Daniel Acton lining up in a southpaw, standard orthodox stance, and Amir Hosch lining up in a southpaw stance.
Both guys seem to want to stand and trade. Amir Hosch seems to be the one a little bit more comfortable on his feet, though.
It's a good shot by Amir Hosch. It was a left hook. Acton's down. Hosch has got full mount, and he's unloading. The ref has seen enough. Amir Hosch, absolutely combustive. Master of cool. You like that?
And he erupted on him.
Eruptive and combustive. Absolutely explosive is Amir Hosch. Daniel Acton got hit with that left hook. He dropped. He was immediately mounted, and Hosch found his opportunity and did not let go. He took advantage of it fully and finished the fight in fantastic fashion. Team Rock in the cage with their fighter now. Jordan Rinaldi going over to congratulate the opponent, Daniel Acton, and his team. Lots of class showed there. Amir Hosch making his amateur debut. I think we're going to see some more of this guy.
Yep.
Here we go with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Wayne Spinola called the stop of action 38 seconds into the first round. Fighting out of the La Paz red corner, Willie Warhead Hosch!
And there you have it. Hosch gets the win. First round knockout. You are watching MMA on the Rise.
My name is Jordan Rinaldi. This is Joe Pacheco. I'm Solar Stanley. Keith Richardson.
I'm Curtis Clower.
Shane Crenshaw. We are the Hooter Girls.
Vanilla Gorilla.
Kevin Ferrant.
This is Adrian A. Trey Henderson.
I'm Jason Fagler Jr.
Fernando Estero.
We're the Hooter Girls.
And you're watching it.
You're watching. You better be watching.
And you're watching.
Are you watching it?
And you're watching.
MMA.
MMA.
MMA authorized.
MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
On MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
MMA on the rise.
This fight is brought to you by Any Lab Test Now. MMA fighter panel is only $89. Location nationwide.
DJ A-Rod, bring me out of the blue corner, Eric Harris!
MMA on the rise here at Charlotte, North Carolina at Coyote Joe's for Fight Lab 23. Tom Ziegler here with the Fight Tech, Paul Boo, and the Ninja Daddy, Tony Tan. We've got Eric Harris coming to the cage. He's 1-2, 36 years old, a grown man about to come into the cage here today. Fighting out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. His last fight was a win at Quest for Glory Championships against Dustin Stott. Submission, rear naked choke. Opened his career with 2 losses. He's on the winning streak now. See if he can keep that going here tonight.
If you take a look at his record, Tom, his first 2 fights were over 3 years ago, and then he took some time off and stepped back in the cage and got back on the winning end.
You know, I think that's sort of the theme of the night. This is like the 3rd or 4th fight where we've seen a guy, you know, take a couple losses, and then they take anywhere between 8 months and a couple years off, and then they come back in and seem to perform a little better. Even in some cases where they've lost, they've come in and looked decent.
And out of the red corner, bring to me, Calla.
Now, his opponent tonight is the highly touted Dylan Calla. He's coming to the cage at 2-0, and this is a 19-year-old phenom here so far in his career. He's got a knockout win over our training partner, Joe Mean Choi. I was there that night, and Dylan Calla showed some good explosion. Would have liked to see that fight to go a little bit further as far as I was concerned, but Dylan Calla is the real deal. His next fight against Jason Stein was back in February against, an elite championship cage fighting. And again, he showed that same explosion. He's a 2-time state champion wrestler. Tony, you've seen him fight. What do you think?
You know, surprisingly, as a 2-time state champion wrestler, I haven't seen much of his wrestling. It's been all power out of, his hands or with his jiu-jitsu. His last fight he ended with a standing guillotine.
Well, I think we were talking about that earlier. I think his wrestling is good. He knows it's good. He knows he has the ability to dictate where the fight, whether he can stop someone else's takedown with his wrestling or he can take it down himself. So that gives him an advantage. You know, a lot of people don't give enough credit for someone coming in with the ability to dictate the fight. Whether they're wrestling, whether they're judo, just whatever it is, that if they can choose whether that fight goes up, stays up, or goes down, they now get to play their game. And I think that's what Dylan's doing, is that he's such a good wrestler. He knows he can just keep it standing if he wants to. But
he's a highly confident guy, too.
It is 3-minute rounds in the amateur featherweight division. First, let's meet the fighter standing to my right. This young man comes to us from Inman, South Carolina. He stands 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighing in at 145 pounds. He has a record of 2 wins versus 2 losses. Representing Team Revolution, Charlotte, make some noise for Eric Harris. And now, the fighter standing to my left. This young man comes to us from Gastonia, North Carolina. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing in at 145 pounds. He has an undefeated record in the cage with 2 wins versus 0 losses. Representing Matt Masters and Renegade Fighting Systems. Give it up for the future.
now, like we were saying, Dylan can dictate that pace, but I have a feeling if he gets into a bad situation, which we haven't seen it yet because he's been so dominant standing, if he gets into a bad situation, I'm sure he'll go back and rely on that wrestling. But we just haven't had to see it yet. It just goes to attest to show that his ability with his stand-up, Well,
we'll see if he comes out with that same ferocity. He truly has a violent, impetuous style that he brought to his last 2 fights.
Now, Dylan Calla wearing the red shorts with the black trim. We got Eric Harris wearing the solid black shorts.
Here we go with round 1.
Interesting fact, almost 20 years of life experience between the 2 of them. Harris going to watch out for that guillotine. That's how Calla finished his last opponent.
Calla letting his hands go, but he actually ate a couple shots there. And it looks like Harris is able to muscle him around there. Actually, it looks like Harris has got a decent wrestling background himself. He's getting in deep on that double. Gets the lift.
Real deep.
Nice takedown.
Good whizzer by Calla.
Nice.
Good scramble.
He hipped right up.
Yeah, Calla recovers there. Used some of that wrestling again to maintain. And again, that seems to have been his game plan to this point, is not use his wrestling to get the takedown. It's more use his wrestling to keep it standing and rely on his power in his hands, because we've seen he's got it.
Both guys exchanging knees, grappling against the cage. They've changed position up against the cage several times. They're both not afraid to throw bombs, that's for sure.
Yeah, they both actually look very calm in their exchanges. Calla's actually taking the shots and looking for his takedowns right out real quickly.
Now Harris changed the angle there and was able to avoid that shot. He slipped it. Man, Harris, honestly, it looks like Calla could potentially be the actual more technical wrestler, but Harris has got good wrestling, and he's muscling Calla around there. He just basically muscled him to the floor.
Looks to be the stronger fighter. He's got an arm in guillotine. I don't think he's really got it, though.
Lands a knee, and Calla gets back to his feet. Good technical battle here between the fighters.
Yeah, both fighters showing very good skill. I'm impressed so far. Good knee by Calla.
Follows up with a couple body shots to the ribs on Harris.
Harris landed a nice knee there to the ribs. Oh, some nice uppercuts by Calla.
Harris returning fire, though.
Calla hits with every shot with bad intention. He's not throwing any shot to set anything up. Every shot he's trying to knock the guy out with it. Now, he hasn't made it out of the first round in his first two fights. So, if he gets into the second round here with Harris, we'll have to see how his stamina holds up.
Calla looks like he may be working for a guillotine. Looks to his corner for advice. Harris needs to be careful. He doesn't want to stay there. Looks like he gave that to Calla.
Yeah, he went down for
it again.
Yeah, he went down for a takedown, and in the process, he actually gave up the guillotine choke. But he's pulling his legs in. He's establishing a butterfly guard.
Did a good job.
Now he's got a half butterfly, goes to close guard. He was able to defend it by using good hips, basically, using his hips to keep Calla from getting in the pressure.
That was a good round, a tough round to call. Both fighters had their moments, back and forth action.
Congratulations to Mandy. She's the latest winner of our text game. She takes knockouts to 90210, and she just won.
Now, there's been two takedowns in this fight. Both takedowns established by Harris. But in both occasions, Calla was able to reestablish and stand back up. So Harris definitely has some good wrestling, but so does Calla to get those stand-ups. So, but again, I think the theme of this fight so far has been Harris being able just a little bit stronger and being able to use that strength coupled with his wrestling to sort of muscle through Calla a little bit.
Yeah, at 36 years old, he's got some old man strength, as we like to call it.
Yeah, Calla being only 18, so he's definitely going to have a little bit of disadvantage in the strength there. But Calla also landed some really big shots. So the judges could have scored that either way.
I thought it was a very close round.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Harris took two takedowns, but Calla landed some really big strikes. So, depends on what they're looking at. Harris got his hands a little lower, which is a really bad idea with Calla. Calla's keeping his hands up really high and tight, and he hits hard.
Yeah. Harris lands with a lead right to start off the exchange. Calla doesn't like it, wants to exchange, and they're just going at it.
Yeah. He's got Harris back against the cage, and a wrestler, you probably go for the clinch, but he was landing bombs before he went for the clinch.
Yeah. Both fighters not afraid to exchange and throw bombs, that's for sure.
Dylan's really using the uppercuts, Dylan Calla. Harris just fired a couple back himself, but Calla's really relying on the uppercuts inside that clinch, which is smart. They're very underused, I think, in MMA typically.
And we got a bleeder. Harris is bleeding. Looks like either from the eye or the nose. I can't tell.
Yeah,
But
nose and mouth. He was bleeding pretty good. Some of the blood's actually on Dylan Calla, but it's Harris's.
You know, this is a side note, but I can't tell if it's Calla's finger or if it's just his glove is torn. But it looks as if the pinky finger of the right hand is actually sticking out. I can't tell if it's the glove itself and he's actually punching with it that way and it's just the glove that's coming out, or if it's actually his finger.
Calla going for a single leg, trying to run the pipe.
And gets it.
Harris lands right in butterfly guard there. See if he does anything with it. And he does nothing.
Goes right to the closed guard. Again,
another theme for the night. Setting up a triangle, and he puts it in there. He's got it locked, I believe.
If you know you got a good triangle and good submissions off your back, that's when closed guard works well. But you know, and it looks like he does.
He's pulling ahead of Calla. He may get it.
He's squeezing his knees. He doesn't have his foot hooked real tight.
Good transition to the armbar here.
Locks it back up.
Yeah, he's lost that lock. He's trying to reestablish it, and he does.
He's got an angle.
Calla's tapped it.
Calla taps. Triangle choke submission. Well done by Eric Harris.
Wow, that was interesting. You know, the theme of this whole fight up to this point has been the wrestling and the counter wrestling to land the strikes, and then Harris goes and finishes it with classic jiu-jitsu with triangle off his back.
Yeah, Calla was definitely a little maybe too aggressive on top right there. Just got lazy, and Harris took advantage of it. I mean, not to discredit Harris's jiu-jitsu. I mean, he did a great job setting that triangle up and getting it.
Yeah, right when we were talking about you know, using a more open guard, he uses that closed guard to get triangle. And again, closed guard is a very effective tool. The problem that people have is they use closed guard. I mean, they have an open guard or a butterfly. They go to a closed guard and then they just lay there. They don't do anything with it. We were talking about that in an earlier fight. If you're going to use closed guard, you have to be active. You have to be attacking, and that's what Harris did. He established that closed guard for no more than 2 or 3 seconds and already set up that triangle. Which credit to him. Obviously, he's got seems to have good wrestling. Obviously, good jiu-jitsu as well. Overall, good fight.
Absolutely, absolutely.
30 seconds in the second round. Your winner by triangle choke, fighting out of the blue corner, Eric Harris.
Great fight tonight. Eric Harris gets the win. Triangle choke over Dylan Calla. Fantastic fight. More to come at Fight Lab 23. You're watching MMA on the Rise. Thanks for watching another exciting episode of MMA on the Rise. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at MMA OTR.
You can also like us on Facebook.
You can also visit us at MMAontheRise.tv.
And now you can follow us on Twitter at MMA OTR.
We'll see you next time on MMA on the Rise.